Before you ask, yes, this isn't gonna be about rhythm games. The title should have given that away, because surprise, surprise, turns out I like things other than rhythm games. You see, I'm not merely a degenerate rhythm gaming weeb. I'm a degenerate rhythm gaming weeb who's also really into roller coasters, and after writing Iron Gwazi during the soft opening, I kinda wanted to try my hand at doing a video about roller coasters. But I'm not about to create a second channel for what's most likely gonna be a one-off video. Oh, no. I'm just gonna put this here instead so that I can monetize this video and hopefully make back the ungodly amount of money I spent to get into the park. So, please watch this video to the end for the YouTube algorithm. Thanks. Although, be aware that I might be throwing in some enthusiast lingo here and there, so if you're confused, don't worry. I'll probably throw in a dictionary of roller coaster terms for free. Oh, and spoilers, by the way. You have been warned. Moving on, Iron Gwazi, to those who might not know, is a hybrid steel wooden coaster that opened on March 11, 2022. Originally announced for a 2020 opening date, we soon figured out that that statement didn't age well, as it faced delays initially due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as some legal issues between the manufacturer and the parent company SeaWorld Entertainment. Essentially, the TLDR was that SeaWorld still owed them a small number, something to the tune of $9 million for the work they did on the ride, causing further delays. As a result, the opening was pushed back to spring 2021, which again didn't age well, with everyone now making memes about how Iron Gwazi would just never open. But thankfully it did, because it would really suck if I spent money to go there for spring break only to find out that, whoops, get high on copium, because this ride's gonna be delayed more times than I delayed this video. But I digress. Located in the Morocco area of Busch Gardens, Tampa, it was a revamp of the ride Gwazi, with Rocky Mountain Construction, known as RMC, handling the refurbishment of the ride. And while a considerable portion of the existing ride was reutilized for Iron Gwazi, there were some significant changes from the original, such as the layout being retrofitted with RMC's proprietary track known as the iBox track, and the dueling element of the original coaster being scrapped in favor of just one unique experience. With construction underway, it was marketed to be a record breaker, with it being the tallest hybrid coaster in North America, as well as the steepest and fastest of its kind in the world. Like, dude, let's go over some general stats to give you an idea of the sense of scale for the ride. It features a 206-foot drop at a 91-degree angle with a max speed of 76 miles per hour, 2 inversions, and a track length of 4,075 feet, giving you nearly 2 minutes of amazing airtime-filled ride time. The ride also makes use of 2 24-passenger trains, allowing rider capacity to reach around 800 guests per hour during normal operation. With that out of the way, the ride starts with a little dip into the chain lift hill. You know, pretty simple stuff. The chain lifts the train pretty slowly, as chain lifts do, and you can wave to those peasants still waiting to get on this glorious ride. Then you begin to realize just how high up you are in that initial hill. I mean, it's 206 feet after all. Feel free to absorb that breathtaking view of the park, a parking lot, and Tampa Bay, as the train slowly picks up speed, taking you through the first drop as you are literally ejected out of your seat in this beyond vertical drop. Now you might be wondering, does that 1 extra degree really matter? Well, I'm not so sure actually. I've never ridden a coaster with a 90-degree drop. All I can tell you that it's definitely not TMNT Shellraiser's 121.5 degree drop. Though if I'm being honest here, it's probably for the marketing, man. They gotta set the bar low so that they can keep claiming their coasters are breaking records somehow. Like bet, 2 years from now, RMC will claim that their next hybrid will boast the steepest drop at 91.1 degrees, and we'll all be freaking out like it's the greatest innovation in roller coaster history. Regardless, the drop is great, and the POVs don't do it any justice. It's something that you really gotta experience for yourself. Of course, Iron Gwazi is more than just its drop, and the coaster elements sprinkled throughout the layout really serve to cement its status as an elite coaster. After the first drop, you begin to ascend another hill and into an overbank turn, whipping you around due to the lateral forces while giving quite a bit of airtime. However, that's not all, as the first overbank curve briefly transitions into an outer bank turn, creating another jolt of lateral forces and airtime before you snap back again and descend the second hill, getting really low to the ground before transitioning into a bank turn. And I gotta say that the turns in general are phenomenal. They're buttery smooth and very snappy, making all the coaster elements feel seamlessly connected. This brings me to my next point, in which after the curve, it's not long until you feel a sudden drop into what is nicknamed the death roll, after the maneuver that crocodiles use to tear apart their prey, which is some nice attention to detail considering the whole crocodile aesthetic of Iron Gwazi. As for the element itself, the actual name of this move is the barrel roll down drop, and this thing whips you 540 degrees amid a brief burst of speed from the drop, which is interesting because since it's so quick, you don't really notice yourself moving along the Z-axis. Even then, this thing packs a punch with the lateral forces and airtime despite the rather short duration. Personally, I think this is the element that the more casual riders will enjoy the most because it makes you feel like you're doing an aerial maneuver. After that segment, you encounter the second overbank turn at an even steeper rotation than the first before snapping into a wave turn, ejecting you out of the seat with some sustained airtime at an angle where you're pretty much perpendicular to your normal position. The great part about it is that it actually happens right behind the station, creating this eye-catching moment, making it not just a good moment on a mechanical level, but also on an aesthetic level. Just make sure that you don't have your coaster-despising friends see this part if you're trying to surprise them into getting a ride, as this might be the thing that'll make them go nope, wasting all that effort of convincing your friend that Iron Gwazi is objectively less intense than Daddy Pig's roller coaster. Like, come on guys, it's seriously not that bad. Iron Gwazi is literally the least intense coaster in the park. Anyways, once that ends, you get some turns which I explained how they are earlier in the video, only now they give you some more ejector airtime before making it into the 0G stall, which I wish was more sustained. Don't get me wrong, it's still a great time, but I would have liked that feeling of being upside down to last a little longer before I make it through the last few hills, with the final hill popping you out of your seat and into the brake run, officially marking the end of the ride as you slowly come back to the station either completely elated or completely terrified of what you just been through. You might even feel a combination of both. That's also possible. Apart from the ride, the restraints were pretty comfortable. I felt really secure, but I didn't feel too restricted in any way, allowing me to feel the full extent of the forces while ensuring that I didn't fly off the coaster, as evidenced by me reading off the script right now. Although the dispatches could have been a little bit better, as I noticed that the time it took for the train to get in and out of the station was on average 2 minutes, which is kind of on the yikes territory, but this is all based on the day I went, so feel free to fact check me on this. In any case, you might want to get in on the ride as soon as you can, since it's in the front and center of the park, and everyone will probably be there at rope drop, so your best bet is to get in there early to beat the crowd. As far as seats, it's probably worth mentioning that I sat in the back row, and that if you're looking for the optimal seats, you gotta go for the front or the back. Front if you want to feel more of the speed, while the back gives you a wilder experience, which tends to pretty much be the general rule for most roller coasters. Though do keep in mind, on days where it's not that busy, you can always ask for a specific row, but even if you can't get the front or the back, that's okay. Because apparently the middle seats are also pretty good, according to some coaster enthusiasts, and you're gonna have to take their word for it, since I was trying to speedrun the park and only had time to ride this once. Going on to theming, let's be real here, it's no Disney ride, it's not gonna be as well themed as Velocicoaster or Hagrid's Really Long Coaster title, but it never really needed to be. Still, it does do the bare minimum, as the exterior structure plays into the African theme of the park, with the trains going for the crocodile motif, but if you're the type of person who loves to take in the queue while you wait for the ride, boy, you're gonna have a grand old time looking at some crocodile facts, along with a sign that compares the original Gwazi to Iron Gwazi, and not much else. But there's a nice little Easter egg where after the train pulls into the station, the ride does pay homage to the original Gwazi, as you can see the tiger and lion signs on the right side, referencing the dueling element of the original ride, which is pretty neat. Overall, the title says it all. I can't really compare it to the other so-called elite coasters since I'm pretty new to the coaster game, but based on my experience on Iron Gwazi, I can say without a doubt this ride is one of RMC's best works by far. The drop is what kickstarts this ride into high gear, and as we go through the layout, there's rarely a dull moment, with all the elements flowing into each other nicely, giving you intense laterals and ejectors all throughout, and none of the elements feel drawn out either, with the head choppers being a great addition for that extra thrill. Not to mention that despite the ride actively trying to rip you off the train, the ride is actually smooth as glass, almost as if you were gliding on the track. Couple that with the comfortable restraints and you get a coaster that you could just ride over and over and over again. Believe me, when I come back to Busch Gardens, I'll be getting multiple rides to savor all those precious airtime moments, and if I ever decide to come here with friends, you bet I will be recommending this ride and will pull out all the stops to persuade my coaster-despising friends to get on it. That being said, if you ever find yourself in Florida, take a break from Orlando with its Disney World and Universal parks. Instead, just take a 2-hour drive to Tampa, plop down some cash, and enjoy this coaster. Trust me, it'll be great. Because it looks like Iron Gwazi is going to be my #1 favorite coaster for the foreseeable future. At least until I get on Daddy Pig's roller coaster, in which case it'll become my #2 favorite coaster, because, come on, how can you surpass Daddy Pig? But anyways guys, I know this video is very different from what I usually upload, but I wanted to get this off my chest and experiment with making a video outside of rhythm games for once. So if you made it to the end, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.